What was the key to success shooting slow?
Take your time, pull the trigger.
Yeah. Ted, take your time, like carefully stacking pressure on the trigger until the shot goes off. That's how you're successful. That's like not even an option shooting fast, obviously. That will not work. Watch my gun. That's the important thing. Watch the gun. Don't worry about the target, because I want to explain a couple things. Okay. Okay. So there we are. So this is the exercise that you're going to be doing, kind of the way that we're going to be doing it. At the tone, you're going to draw in 6 rounds. Okay? As far as how fast you draw, how fast that goes, I don't care. And you shouldn't care either. It's like, I want you to get to a grip that you're happy with. That's what I want. I don't care if it's fast. Like, the idea here is that you're going to kind of learn what your grip should be. It's not that you don't have to get to it fast right now. Everybody get that? As far as, there's a couple things that are strange. The target here is, I'm not looking at this like a USPSA target. I'm looking at a spot in the center, and I'm trying to lay every shot onto that spot. I'm not worried about like A's and C's or anything. I'm gonna be shooting at a spot the size of like a quarter. Does that make sense to everybody else? Okay, and then the other thing is the pace of the shooting. It's like, if you were watching my gun came back down and the next shot went off, right? That's the pace that you must shoot that fast. It's like you're gonna draw the gun, get the grip you're happy with, aim it where it's supposed to be aimed, and then as soon as that gun's returning back for you, it's like boom, 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 boom. You must shoot that fast. You must. Like, that's the requirement. And the reason that's important is because that's going to be kind of simulating what's going on when you're shooting on a stage. So if you think about it, you're looking at a spot that you want to hit, the gun comes over to that spot, and then it's like you're going to react to what you see. You're like, I'm in a hurry, I'm under pressure, and I want to shoot. As soon as that gun gets there, boom, you shoot. It comes back down at a recoil, boom, you shoot. Reacting visually to what you see. Exactly at that pace. So that means you're not allowed to like slowly press the trigger. No. It has to be like practical pace. Does that make sense to everyone? It's for that reason. Okay, and then the type of shots that we're simulating here, I would call this reactive shooting. So we're gonna react to every sight picture, meaning every shot we're gonna see the sight and confirm that it's gonna go pretty much where it's aimed. So this isn't like rapid fire where you're just shooting a blur of the sight or anything like that. It's like every shot is aimed. This is appropriate for like mini poppers or full-size poppers, distant targets with no shoots on them, where you want to shoot carefully and make sure that everything's going where it's meant to go. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so the problem that most people are going to have is going to be hitting left and low, something like that. Shots going over here. We're going to start up at close range like we're doing here, so you'll see stuff as it's happening. At this range, if I saw a bullet hole appear over here, what would I think about that? It's like 2 inches away to the left. Would that be okay? Right. Okay, so up at close range, I'll see that, and it'll mean like, yes, I'm pushing the gun over there with my firing hand. What I recommend you do during this drill is draw the gun, get the grip you're happy with, and then shift your brain onto your hand. When I'm shooting this, my brain's right here. I'm just trying to hold my hand still as I work the trigger. I try to ignore the recoil, and I let the visual piece of it kind of just fade to the background. I'm just looking at a spot, and the sight's coming back, and I just let that be on autopilot, and my brain's right here on my hand. Does that make sense to everyone? So if you're seeing stuff appear over here, it's something you're doing in your hand. Something. Maybe you're flexing your fingers, flexing your hand when you pull the trigger. Something is moving. You might just flex your whole hand like this. But if you're paying attention, you can feel it as it's happening. And that's what I want. I want you to feel that happen. We're on the same page so far? Okay. You might get high hits as well, especially as we start to back up. What might be the cause of that? Timing. What does that mean? Right, so you might shoot without the visual confirmation. you might be staring at your front sight or your dot, which will cause hits to climb up. Okay? The way that works is if I'm looking at this point in front of me, boom, it goes up in recoil, comes back down, and the target's in the background. So that the shot will go up, the gun comes back down, it'll come back down, and I'll see the sight against the brown background. And I'll look at that and be like, yeah, I guess we're good. Boom, and pull the trigger again. But as you're shooting rapid fire, that spot will usually climb up. The way that you stop that happening is by looking right where you want the gun to come back to, and the gun will steer down to that spot. So if you stare at your sight through recoil the whole time, it's very difficult not to have shots climb up. Did everybody get what I'm saying? Okay, so that's one piece of it. The other thing, it might be insufficient support hand grip. So remember, if your gun's not behaving properly, typically the way to fix that is, clamp down with the support hand so the gun will behave nicely. Okay? Does everybody get that? There's one other thing I'll show you. This is like a conceptual thing. So about how you're going to control the recoil. So let's just say I hold the gun properly and I fire one shot. And I did not return the gun. I just let it go up in recoil. Now I'll fire another shot. First shot I fired here, I didn't do any recoil control. I just held the gun, and then I fired a shot to show where the gun landed. Okay, this, like, how much force do you think it takes to make the gun go from here down to there? What?
Very little.
It's almost nothing. So, like, the idea here is, like, if you feel like you're pushing the gun down in recoil, you're probably doing way too much work, and you'll end up pushing down and shooting low, especially as you speed up. Okay, the way to stop that is, instead of controlling the recoil of the gun with your hands and arms, I say just do it with your eyes. So what I mean is, I'm going to manage the recoil by looking where I want to hit. I just keep looking where I want to hit. Boom, the gun goes off. As you can see, it doesn't move that dramatically, right? It just goes off, and then it'll just kind of steer down to where I'm looking. It's the same as when you're driving a car. You don't like to turn the car, you don't throw the wheel where you want to go. You just kind of look, and it's very gentle and it's very natural just to steer the car where you want to go. This is the same. I keep looking there, and the gun will just steer down to it without me having to do anything. I don't feel like I'm fighting with the gun. I just let it do what it's going to do. Does everybody get that? Like the difference, I'll show you the difference. Well, just watch how the gun behaves. If I hold the gun with my hands real tight, spread my stance out, like this would look like I'm really ready to fight some recoil, right? Yeah, so watch how the gun behaves. All right, you see, like I'm doing everything I can to control the gun. It moves up a little bit and it doesn't return very precisely, and I can't shoot quite as fast because I'm really tense on the gun and I'm focused on like holding it in place. If I instead just hold the gun with my hands and look where I want to hit, watch how the gun behaves this time. Oh, let me get this one. All right, what are you seeing differently there? Yeah, the gun goes up a little bit in recoil, but it keeps returning very consistently to the same spot, and I don't feel like I'm working that hard. It just does what it's going to do, and I just keep looking where I want it to return to, and it'll keep coming back. Does that make sense? So instead of like trying to stop recoil from happening, I'll just stay loose and let it happen. And then we start shooting multiple targets, it really pays off because your upper body will be loose. You don't have to work that hard. You can really quickly transition around and smack a lot of targets. That's the reason for that. Does everybody get that? Okay, so once again, your target is a spot the size of a quarter. Like, look at that spot. Draw the gun, get a grip you're happy with, bring the sights up, and like engage that spot at the pace your sights tell you. Like, the idea here is that you're gonna make mistakes, and you should see it, feel it, and try to understand it as it's happening. It's not like, if you shoot bad shots, it's not like, oh, you're a dummy. It's like, the idea here is we're gonna create the circumstances for that to happen and then try to work through it. Okay? I don't care how fast you draw, get a grip you're happy with, look where you want to hit, and just pay attention to how your hands feel, and you're going to learn a lot doing this. Practical shooting training, got drills, live fire drills, some guidance for dry fire, some dry fire drills, lots of different places you can start. It works for people of all different levels. If you want to train seriously with a handgun, especially for competition, this is the one to get.